This is my season 2 review of Primal. Recording this earlier than I usually do, so I'm not going to be so fucking tired. Hopefully I'll be able to keep my points a little more, because, man, on episode 10 I was really rambling and struggling to make a point. For the open, I'm going to talk about episode 10 a little more, because when I got done recording and kind of woke up, I realized that I was really critical of episode 10. And usually I try to be critical. I am more critical than I do praise stuff, because if someone does something right, they don't need to be praised. But if something needs criticized, you absolutely have to criticize it. That's my belief. But with Primal, I've usually been pretty good at praising what I like and criticizing what I dislike. You know, you just have more to say about something when you are criticizing it. But I didn't really say anything good about episode 10. And what I did like that I would mention, I kind of struggled to convey it. So I wanna try and talk about that. I also, you could tell after Covenant of the Damned, I was very disappointed. And even though I praised the shit out of the Night Feeder, I just wasn't smiling. I wasn't happy. I had no energy in my voice. I was just dead and disappointed because the episode I wanted to be good wasn't. And it was like, fuck. So, yeah. I have notes, but I got a lot of stuff to say that I couldn't put down notes. So, I rewatched episode 10, and that's where my notes begin. And then I watched all of the storyboard stuff. I watched episodes 1 through 5 just because I love Primal. And then I went through episodes 6 through 10 and took notes as I was watching the storyboards. And then I just rewatched all my reviews over the last 2 hours and took notes of my reviews to kind of try and collect my thoughts for the season. I don't actually have any thoughts on the season, but hopefully I'll have some by the end of talking about this shit. So, while rewatching episode 10, and I mentioned that Spear's a caveman and Mira was a human, and her name is Mira. I got that from the storyboard. I recommend everyone go out and watch those, because they just provide so much context for shit that you might never think about or realize. I never put together that I said Mira was a human and Spirit's a caveman, but it never occurred to me that she's a Homo sapien and he's a Neanderthal. That never actually popped in my mind that was what was going on. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, here's another human. Yeah, I forgot that technically Spear isn't a human. He's not a Homo sapien. So that is actually pretty interesting, and I do like that. That made me like the episode a lot more, seeing a Neanderthal and a Homo sapien interacting. Upon rewatching it, because I wasn't taking notes and I was just watching the episode, which I think I'm going to have to start doing in general, is watch the episode once and take notes and watch it again just for the sake of watching it all together. Because I really missed a lot in episode 10. Not a lot, but I did miss some shit. She's very unfamiliar with her surroundings when she's in the jungle, Mira is, implying that she wasn't familiar with the area. She didn't know the area. So that could have been a foreshadow that she wasn't from these lands. She's from like an Egypt type of area, and he's in, I don't know where the fuck he is. He's in some jungle somewhere. They're clearly from different lands. I didn't really put that together. You could have assumed maybe she lived in a temple, or something where they did worship stuff, and that's why she has that's why she does the worshiping stuff. And then when she was taken as a slave, she got that brand from the Vikings. I really did like her not speaking English and having her own language. That was very interesting. I didn't mention it just because I was tired and didn't think about it, but I do really like that. What do I have to say about this? Oh, that's not good. Try to explain. Okay, well, I guess I'll do that now. So I was very much struggling to explain why I dislike them talking, but why it was necessary, because that is kind of the case. The point of Primal to me is it's a series without dialogue, without communication, where you're just letting the actions kind of carry you through everything. You're letting the visual medium tell you everything, right? But we've been seeing all these societies and groups, the Covenant of the Damned is a cult where they do this crazy ritual. And so they need to be able to communicate. And all they do is kind of grunt at each other. But you would expect them, if they have a ritual and they're doing all this magic bullshit, that they would have some language. Same with Mira. She's got a fucking, a religion. She's clearly from a society with all kinds of complex traditions and shit. She knows how to cook and shit. She needs to be able to speak. Language is going to just evolve naturally. And she could. And that's good. The issue is, the whole point of the series is that nobody fucking talks to each other. So you're kind of in this conflict where they should be able to talk. And if you're going to have humanoid characters interacting, they really need to be able to communicate. But no one fucking can talk. I like the drawing thing, and I did praise that. I think it's very good that they communicated through it. It's just, again, the whole point of the series is supposed to be that no one's communicating. There's no dialogue like that. So, it's a complicated thing. I like the way that Genndy did it. I just dislike that it happened in general. I was talking to my dad. He actually doesn't think that that they're gonna go across the ocean and hunt down Mira to try to save her. I still think it will. I was thinking how it would happen. I think that Spear and Fang are gonna let themselves be captured by the Vikings the next time they show up. They'll see like the Scorpion or something somewhere else, and they'll let themselves be captured to go and get Mira. He was saying that the guy with the horns is probably just a Viking rather than a Minotaur. It's just a big Viking. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I still think it's definitely going to do Mira. But this could just be another adventure. That's what he said. He thinks it's a one-off adventure. We'll never see Mira again. That could be. I don't know. So I went through, watched the storyboards. I took just a couple notes. I didn't have a lot. They didn't add a lot to me. I very much got most of what was trying to be conveyed down. Interestingly, the dream sequence that I criticized, well, I didn't really criticize it. The dream sequence in Plague of the Damned, I said it was an obvious dream sequence because there's no background. That actually wasn't on the storyboard, so the storyboard came out to be like 21 minutes long, so I imagine that they added that in for padding just to make the episode longer. Maybe that wasn't a Genndy idea. I don't know. It felt weird when I saw it, and that's why I brought it up in the original review. It was just like a weird dream sequence that came out of nowhere. Genndy explains that the reason the witches, he called them witches, I didn't realize they were witches, they were all holding out their hands like this. It wasn't a chant, they were holding it out because they all wanted a child, which is really interesting, and you don't really get that. The pterodactyl lord chooses out the witch that has a blanket because it shows more of a assertive nature to be a nurturing mother than the others, because it brought a blanket to warm the baby and stuff. That was also interesting. You didn't really get it down. The damned were not intangible spirits like I thought. They were literally just disappearing from spear swings because they're magic, but a lot simpler than what I thought was going on. Where I thought they had like an intangible thing going on. No, he just said they were disappearing, they were like teleporting or whatever. And also he brought up that the damned witches were all female. And I brought up in the original review, I didn't even remember it, that it seemed like this ritual was done for reproduction because for whatever reason they couldn't reproduce. But I didn't realize all of the witches were females. I thought there were a lot of males with them, but no, they're all female, including the Pterodactyl Lord. Genndy also mentions the Pterodactyl Lord is another witch. So this really is a ritual for reproduction, which is what I thought. Because they can't reproduce because they don't have men. But we've seen them sacrifice 2 men to make these babies, so they probably can only sacrifice men in this ritual. Because I always assumed that the witch that betrays them at the end of the episode would be taken and turned into a baby, but no. It's likely only men that can become the children. So that's interesting. But yeah, it's a ritual for reproduction. I was right about that. Genndy actually mentions that the background of episode 9 was meant to look beautiful, to act in contrast to the horrors of the night. The day is so beautiful and the night is horrifying. He kind of alluded to that was the point. Because in that episode, I kept bringing up, like, the background looks so beautiful in this episode. It's crazy. It looks so different. It really stands out. And that was intentional. It was meant to act in contrast to the fucking gore that we were seeing the Night Feeder do at night. When Fang jumps up to bite at the Night Feeder, Genndy says that Fang comes back up with like a weird black ink on his face. On her face. Rather than... I think in the episode it was blood, but he's saying it's just a black goo. Yeah, he said it was a black goo. So maybe the Night Feeder had an ink sac and sprayed ink on it, or maybe the animators didn't know it wasn't blood and assumed it was blood, so they made it blood. I don't know. That was weird. It was confirmed by watching the storyboard that a day really did pass. That was what the transition was meant to convey of the sun going by. They waited a full day to hunt the Night Feeder at night. And the Night Feeder looked a lot better in the fucking episode pitch than he did originally. In the episode pitch, when he's burning, he looks like a Sasquatch. He's got, you know, like a ape face, big mouth, and like humanoid hands. As opposed to the reptile thing that they drew at the end where it just had claws and a reptilian mouth. I thought that looked a lot better. Still, we shouldn't see it. Because, as I said in the episode, they do too much and nothing they show is really going to fit with what we've seen it doing. But this was at least closer to what you would want to see than just a generic raptor thing. Also, something I forgot to bring up. In my original review of the Night Feeder, that's very important is we never get an idea of how big it is. It looks to be a little bigger than Fang, but it's destroying these giant fucking trees. So it needs to be goddamn massive, but we never really get a look at how big it is. That's why I continue to say we should have never seen it, because you just can't fucking deliver on that. Okay. So now we get into me rewatching where I was rewatching my reviews earlier and wrote down a bunch of notes. So I kind of repeat a lot of my thoughts. The series didn't need to continue. It could have ended at Rage of the 8 Men. It had really shown what it was going to be. Fang did not need to come back. Her leg should have been broken. She should have been dead. I think it would have been a lot bolder to have Spear continue the series alone if you were going to continue the series at all. Maybe it makes a new companion once in a while and then they always die because this is a cruel, cruel world. I don't know. I just don't like Fang that much. I never really have. Fang's okay at times, but then it's a dinosaur. I don't care about Fang that much. I always love to see the inspirations from Genndy's other work, though, kind of come out, you know, with, like, where I'll constantly talk about how there's things on two sides following Spear. It happens with the Damned, and it also happens in the first episode with the, Genndy said they were African dogs, so they're much closer to hyenas than coyotes. But yeah. It was always nice to see stuff like that, and the eyes in the darkness. All that was really cool. Um, the gore, there's gore all over this fucking season. He really, I think he was testing the waters with episode 5 because that was going to be the last one. So he just kind of went crazy. And once he saw that he could just be as gory as he wanted, with this season he just went off the fucking rails with the gore. It's fucking crazy. Oh, one thing I forgot to add from the storyboard. Spear does fight the vultures in the storyboard. I don't remember him fighting them in that episode, the first episode, but they do attack Fang apparently in the storyboard, so maybe that was cut out for time, I don't know. On episode 7, I love the concept of the Plague of Madness. It's much closer to what you expect to get from Genndy than a fucking episode of Nursing a Dinosaur. A lot better. I just fucking wish we wouldn't have had the Brontosaurus get up halfway through the fucking episode to chase them more. After it fell down the cliff, it should have been dead, and we should have had, scavengers. Some pack of small scavengers eat it and get the disease and then chase after them, or something. Something else should have taken it and chased them, other than this fucking Brontosaurus, or Brachiosaurus, or whatever the fuck it is. He said it's a sauropod. Whatever the fuck it is. It's just the same fucking thing for another 15 minutes. It's like, fuck, dude. I get it. Nature's cruel. It won't stop the disease pushing it to its death. I understand what you're conveying. Please show me something else. But at the same time, I get it. It's fucking Brontosaurus. It's the biggest fucking thing out there. If you go smaller, it's not as scary, I guess. But fuck. That's why you just do multiple little things or something. Ugh. I just hated that second half. I love the concept, love the first half, just didn't like the second half. I wrote down, in the future I'm always going to watch the storyboards after the episode airs before I record, because they really do add a lot, and it would have helped my reviews, and I might have been a little more positive in some of the things. That being said, I was very spot on with Plague of Madness. I knew exactly what he was going for. He confirmed, like, when Spear's staring at the Brontosaurus, he feels bad about it because he didn't deserve it. It was just a cruel disease. I very much said that. So, it adds a little bit, but it doesn't add too much unless you just can't think, I guess. A lot of the episodes did start strong in this season, and then by the end they would just either they would lose their shit along the way, or the ending would just be bad. But the beginnings were always really strong. I've already said I'm not really interested in the emotional stuff from Primal. I'm really here to see the concepts Genndy delivers on, because, again, a feudal samurai fighting robots in the future is really cool as an idea. So to see more Genndy's ideas come to life here with this primeval world is always going to be cool. And the concepts in this season were great. The first season really didn't have anything going on. The fucking demon bats and the fucking chemical X monkeys were pretty mundane compared to what we got in this season. In this season we got a fucking mad cow disease, brain parasite fucking disease zombie thing, plague going on. A fucking magical ritual to create babies. A fucking vampire thing that only hunts at night. And fucking prehistoric Vikings. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But they just weren't, the concepts just weren't executed as well, I don't think, unfortunately. So, yeah, I was obviously very excited when I saw the preview of Covenant of the Damned, and I was so disappointed when I watched it because it just did not do what I wanted it to do. I think the opening sequence is absolutely the best thing to come out of Primal. That ritual is so fucking pretty and handled so well, and you're so interested in what the fuck is happening. But god damn it, I hate the execution. I really wish the whole episode would have just been that first night. I wish we would have had the ritual go. The chase would have lasted for the rest of the episode. They would have caught Spear, and then commercial break, and then we come back. Spear's strung up, and he's going to be sacrificed, and who knows what happened to Fang, and then somehow Fang and Spear get free and fight the fucking Covenant of the Damned and kill them and get away. That's how I wanted that episode to go down. Unfortunately, though, that doesn't what happened. We got this emotional stuff, and yeah. That being said, it is good to see that Spear can't just beat everything with a spear. The Pterodactyl Lord and the witches being beyond him and Fang's ability to deal with is great. It fits. It's a good thing to have to show that he's not going to beat everything. Sometimes he has to just fucking run away because he just can't do anything. But we've seen that a lot also. I think it's good writing to do that. I don't know. It just, that way the episode didn't go wasn't the way I wanted it to go. Also, the Pterodactyl Lord is female, which I guess makes sense because it got pregnant. I just didn't think about that. And Genndy also refers to it as a witch in his stuff. I'm just going to continue to call it the Pterodactyl Lord because I like that name. And instead of getting what I wanted, we got the emotional stuff with the kid. I still feel like Primal's definitely made for people who've lost children because, goddamn, it's always about people losing some kind of children. The Night Feeder was still the best episode of the season. Its concept was handled the best of any of them, even though it dropped the ball at the very end. The first person thing was just handled perfectly. And also I liked Fang being in the episode of Night Feeder. I thought Fang provided something in that episode. Fang wasn't just a plot device. Fang was a character. Fang didn't want to fight the Night Feeder. Fang kept Spear from fighting the Night Feeder. Fang was afraid of the Night Feeder. That was interesting and different, and I liked that. But the Night Feeder is way too powerful. Like I said, it was destroying giant fucking trees. Especially for the fact that we never get an idea of how big it is. And then the fact that it's a fucking just a reptilian thing. It just, And I already said my piece on episode 10. It's an episode that seemed to just establish shit more so than it did execute anything. I'm not a fan of the whole dialogue thing, the communication thing, because I always thought that the episode wasn't, or the series wasn't about that. So that's it for my notes. I'll keep them just in case this doesn't go up. So my thoughts on the season as a whole, I think season 1 was better. I liked more of the episodes better. The episodes didn't really ever drop the ball. I hate episode 2. Don't really like episode 1, but episodes 3 through 5 are good enough. In this, I thought the episodes had better concepts, and a lot of them started off better, but they just would fuck up the execution. I'm not interested in this emotional shit. I just want to see the concepts and the action. So I don't think that season 2 was as good as season 1, but I think season 2 was good. I don't think it was bad. I don't think any of the episodes were bad. I just wish they weren't handled the way that they were, because they're not what I want to see. I think Primal has improved. I think the production has definitely improved. The art has improved. Genndy really knows what he wants to do with the series now, it would seem. I don't know if we're really going to continue to see these 5-episode seasons. I assume that it's a side project for Genndy to do in like the summer when he's not doing whatever his main shit is right now. I don't know if he's doing movies or other TV shows or what, but it seems like a side passion project more than it does a real strong TV show, at least to me. So I guess we'll see how it continues. I think everything's improved with this other than the execution. But that could be, rather than Genndy, it could just be that the concepts are just too big to have a satisfying execution on. I don't know. The Night Feeder was definitely that. But I think he could have done some different things with Coming of the Damned and Plague of Madness to improve those episodes. The music's great. The sound is always great. The storyboards are very beautiful. I recommend everybody check those out on Adult Swim. The episodes 1 through 4 are like really sketchy, and then episode 5 storyboard was like half finished, and a lot of these ones were also half finished. There were times when you just get scribbles, and then there's other times where like it's just beautiful background detail and a lot of shading on Spear. I think some of the scenes actually in episode 4 and 5 in the storyboard were better looking than they were in the episode. Especially the picture of the boat sailing away with Mira. That's like the picture of the pitch, and it looks better, I think, than it did in the episode for whatever reason. It also adds there's a couple scenes that were cut out and different stuff. There's most I've seen cut out was in Night of Blood Moon. There was a whole thing where the bats came in and found the dead spider that I don't remember being in the episode. So I recommend everyone see those. And yeah, in the future, I'm definitely gonna watch the episode and then watch the storyboard and probably rewatch the episode to make sure I have everything down, because in my review of episode 10, I was tired. I forgot to mention that Mira got on Spear, or on Fang, and they swam underwater. I forgot to mention that, I think the whole, I forgot now. There was something else, sequence I forgot to mention in that. But yeah, for sure I want to make sure I always watch something at least twice before I review it from now on. Just because I don't think I gave that episode enough praise versus the criticism I gave it. So yeah, that was my thoughts on Season 2. Improvement in everything other than the execution of the concepts. And I hope that if there's Season 3, that we'll get more great concepts and some better execution on them.